Hello, today I'm making this video of my 1978 Bally Star Trek pinball machine. Um, I usually make these videos and show you all the gameplay features and rules and whatnot, but today I'm just going to show you the video on essentially what I did to the electronics of this game to bring it back to life and also make it reliable, so in the future, the game plays for a long time. Um, Now, the first thing is this game actually came out of storage with a group of games that I picked up. So it had not worked in many years. And most of the time when a game goes into storage, it's because something broke and the person didn't have the time or didn't know how to fix it. So you always have to figure out what that original thing was too. But the easiest thing to do is just to start from the beginning, which is the power cord. And on every game from this era, almost every time you grab the power cord, that ground plug is cut off, and so you gotta fix it right. Cut the cord off, go to Menards, get a new end, put the end on it, and get the ground plug back on. Oh, so now that that's fixed, then you go to the start of the power supply, which is the transformer. And all the boards on this era of game are actually in the back box behind the back glass. And I'm doing this video by myself, so I don't have anybody else to help me hold the camera, so I apologize about the herky-jerkiness of this, but so that's behind the displays. And then behind the displays you can see all the boards. Okay, and the very first thing is a transformer. So the power cord goes to the transformer, and in the transformer that knocks all the voltages from the 120 off the wall into various different AC voltages, which then go into this board called the rectifier board. On the rectifier board, it changes the voltages from AC to DC, and with different fuses for protection, you've got different voltages. So I changed out all the header pins, both going into and out of this rectifier board, along with the main fuse clip, which is always burnt to a crisp. I believe I changed most of those fuses, but at least checked them for the correct values. There's also 3 bridge rectifiers on there that you can kind of see from the back side there. Those are still all the originals. They still worked fine. So I reapplied the heatsink compound and put them back on there. Replaced the standoffs because they were all broken. And then from there, all the voltages were spot on. The voltages go up to this board, which is called the solenoid driver board. Now all these games from 1977 to 1985 made by Bally and Stern roughly look the same when it comes to the back box, and a lot of their components are interchangeable. The soundboard is like the big exception. They're pretty unique to the different generations of games, but most of the other boards are interchangeable or very similar. So the power goes from here up to this connector, and it's very common for this connector to be burnt or broken or whatever. And on this one, it actually had the style of connector where I could just replace the pins inside instead of the whole connector itself. So I popped out each wire, cut the wire off, restripped it, put a new pin in for each of the different wires. Did that on that connector. This one was good. Changed them out on this one, and this one. And you can see when you look in there, the pins are nice and shiny and brand new. Also wire brushed all the pins here, so any kind of surface corrosion that might have been on there is knocked off. Also took the boards. I took all the boards out of the game and flipped them over, and the backside where those pins actually connect to the circuit board itself. They're little pads. I would have reflowed the solder on those as well. This has 2 main capacitors, your 5-volt for your gameplay and your high voltage for your displays. Replace both of those. Check the different components for they're all good, and adjusted the high voltage so that it's in the correct range. And it looks like all of your original transistors for your solenoids were good, so I didn't have to replace any of those. From here, the main power then goes into this connector, which powers your MPU board. I also replaced all the header pins on this one as well. Sorry, all the connector pins on this one. The header pins were still good. Just cleaned them off and reflowed them from the backside. This had some light acid damage on it, so I took the board out, neutralized the acid damage, and also or alkaline damage, and then sanded off the damage, which was mostly down on the ground. Re-tinned that. Also replaced this socket, this socket, and this socket. They were all questionable and didn't look the best, so just replace them. I probably had to replace a couple of chips as well. I don't remember specifically which ones, but now the game actually boots up every time, no hiccups, no problems. Also replaced the standoffs here and the standoffs here, just because they weren't holding the board correctly. So now that your game boots up and it seems to work correctly, next thing was the lamp driver board. These drive all the individual game lamps, like all your indicator lamps on your board. And mostly it all worked pretty good. I had to replace this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then, although this actually had the header pins, I had to replace all those, and this one as well, because they were not in good condition. So, and then the ones on the other side were actually in good condition, so they remain the same, just reflowed the pins from the back side. This is actually an external battery pack that I installed. The original battery, you should never leave the original batteries on games from this era. Just clip it off and either use a memory capacitor or something else. And in my case, I put a battery pack on there with AAA batteries in it, and solder it right to the board. So that way that kind of acid damage is less likely to ever happen in the future. The soundboard in this game actually worked fine, no issues, so I left it alone. And the displays actually worked good as well, so I didn't have to do anything with those. So the last thing is the game. I can just show you how it turns on. You can see there's this little green LED right there, and you're supposed to get 7 flashes. 7 flashes tells you, hey, the game booted up and everything is fine. And you can get this first little flicker and then 7 flashes. Watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the game boots. And it always looks kind of dimmish lit when it's booted it on. And then you can look at all of your displays. Let's see if they're all good. And then this game, a lot of the games from this area have 2 latches, and it's very important to latch both of these latches. What it does is it prevents this whiteboard from swinging forward and wrecking the back side of your back glass, because all those back glasses in the day were screen printed onto glass, and they're expensive to replace if you can find a replacement. So all these displays have 6 digits. They're all nice and crisp and clean. As I'm making this video, it looks like there's kind of like a fluttering motion, but I can assure you that's the camera effect and not in person what the display looks like. It's probably something to do with the refresh rate. The playfield itself, I took almost everything off the playfield and then cleaned the playfield and then buffed it out with Novus, which is like a plastics cleaner. And you can see there's wear in this playfield, no doubt about it. There's wear. Almost all these playfields from this era have wear of some kind on it. I would call this not terrible wear, but it's definitely got some. They do make a reproduction playfield if you want to purchase it, and it's still available, along with plastics and pop bumper caps and almost everything for this game, because it is Star Trek. It's popular. I took all the plastics off, cleaned them, replaced all the rubbers because they were all, dry, rotted out. Cleaned up the star post, had to replace a few of those. They were broken. Some of the posts were missing, like that one. I had to replace it, which is common. A lot of games have parts that are missing or replaced with the wrong part through the years. Just adjusted all these switches, made sure that they activate, every time, and also the light bulbs. A lot of these sockets get loose, and the lights don't make good connection. So you have to clean out the socket and or resolder the wires to them to make a better connection. That's basically it. I just wanted to show you, what it takes really to bring a Star Trek or any Bally game, from this era back from the grave, essentially, when it gets stuck in storage, and then you pull it out of storage and can't figure out why it doesn't turn on. Those are kind of the minimum things that you need to do to make the game, be reliable for the future, so you can enjoy it and play it for many years to come. Thanks.